There's 2, there's 4, there's 6 and 8. Shunting, rolling stock, and hauling freight. Red, green, yellow, orange, purple, brown, blue. They're the really useful crew. That's who. All with different roles to play around Tidmouth sheds and far away. Down Gordon's Hill and around some bends, we got Thomas and his friends. It had been another busy day at the Crovens Railway. All the engines had returned to their sheds. Miss Miranda said her goodnights to them and headed for home.
Say, Duke, I have a question. Were there other engines that worked on the Minnesota Railway?
Oh yes, of course, Bart. There were plenty of engines that came and went. Sir Handel and Peter Sam as well, back then called Stuart and Falcon. And then there were some bad engines as well.
Really? Could you tell me about them?
Very well then. From 1880 to 1947, there was a narrow gauge railway known as the Mid-Sodor Railway. There were lots of engines there, with Duke being the number 1, Falcon number 3, Stuart number 4, Albert 5, Jim 6, and Tim 7. There was also a privately owned, unnamed mining engine that worked at the mines at Casney Han. There were also some loaned engines that came and went. Those include Alfred, Jerry, John, Jennings, Atlas, and Bertram. But Duke outlasted them all. Oh, silly me, I forgot. There was a number 2 as well. Meet Baldwin, who arrived on the railway in 1920. Now, he was arrogant, careless, refused to listen. And worst of all, he constantly derailed. Duke warned him to be careful, but he took no notice.
Listen, bud, in the States, we don't give a dime for accidents.
We do here, Duke said, but Baldwin just laughed. Eventually, it was confirmed that Baldwin was proven to be a bad bargain. You see, Baldwin wasn't re-gauged properly for the Mid-Sodor Railway, thus making him a rough rider and the result of his constant derailing. It was decided that a new number 2 would come into view. That's where we meet Smudger. Goodness, you have some smudges and soot on parts of your body. Well, you know what they say. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
I do hope that engine proved to be a better one than that Stanley steamer.
The manager hadn't been more wrong in his life. For later on in the afternoon, Smudger was just arranging a train for Tim to take to the mines. The only rolling stock left was the brake van. However, when Smudger's throttle was at 50% power, he was only crawling.
A few inches later.
You okay there, Smudger?
Okay, just open my stars away.
When the driver opened the throttle to the max, Smudger jumped forward.
Smudger is my work train. Well, blimey, what have you done?
That does not look good.
Eventually, another engine was brought in to arrange the train.
Thank you, Atlas.
Smudger sulked in the shed, thinking about his unpleasant performance. Thanks for the fun time, Stanley Steamer.
I told you, Stanley's just a nickname. Call me Baldwin. One day, I'll make it up to you for covering my last derailment. You got it?
Whatever you say, you coke-guzzling klutz.
Ouch! Ooh, such an insult. Let me know if you come up with something creative to call me your dirty pigpen on wheels.
Pigpen on a... Baldwin eyed in the sheds and noticed the unpleasant green engine. He decided to have a little chat with him.
Hey, String Bean, why you look down?
Smudger explained to Baldwin the accidental shunting situation.
Well, where I come from, we just forget about it. Accidents happen. No shame in blaming yourself to the fullest. You only live once. Keep trying and believing yourself.
Really? Gee, thanks, Redneck.
Just as Smudger left, the manager of the Mid-Sodor Railway walked up with a stern word to Baldwin.
We are going to make you useful at last.
Baldwin stopped laughing then. He got his wheels and side tanks removed and got converted into a pumping engine. He'll never move again. Though despite not running the rails anymore, his personality traits got carried on to another, less fortunate engine. That being Smudger. Baldwin's words affected his funnel, and Duke can see it as well.
Listen, Dookie, who worries about a few spills?
Well, we do here. But Smudger just laughed. You find this accident hilarious?
Why not? I'm just shaking off the thoughts of the accident. It's normal for them to happen. You just gotta move on. That red engine told me.
Stop right there, Smudger. That's where you're wrong. You shouldn't listen to engines like Baldwin. He is a bad example. And furthermore, the whole purpose of an accident is to learn from it. That way, it will never happen again. You don't just simply walk it off or laugh it off or whatever. But Smudger only scoffed. Somewhere within Arlsburg was a little dock. Jennings was assigned to arrange some rolling stock and co-work with Smudger, who was shunting a little too fast with a faulty brake lever.
Smudger, look out!
Oops.
You stupid, clumsy kettle! Now look what you did!
Smudger was brought back to the Arlsdale sheds, feeling very unpleased. Now this time, feeling more unpleased than usual. Seeing Baldwin as a pumping engine didn't make him feel any better.
Man, I'm not looking forward to talking to that Dookie again.
Why not express your problem to me? I can pass it on to Duke.
You really mean that, huh? Well, okay then.
Splendid! Down and tell dear old warrior what's wrong. Why are you show up in such a rough rider?
Okay, in truth, I was built cheaply by railway enthusiasts and engineers alike. I was made from hand-me-down parts from Dogotch.
Built cheaply with hand-me-down parts. Well, that's quite a surprise, isn't it?
I see. Well, I'm sure Duke will understand.
Bertram met up with Duke at Markthwaite and told him the whole story. Duke understood and was glad that he heard Smudger start to behave better. Too bad the same thing can't be said for his accident prones. Eventually, hard times came. After some events from World War II, the mines are in need of a new pumping engine since the old one got bombed. That's when they called Baldwin in.
Well, now where are we going to find a new pumping engine, let alone a new generator?
Neil, who's gonna keep my light on in the shed?
Golly, Stuart, you're such a baby.
I'm not.
I too.
A purchase for a new one won't be cheap at all.
I'll be a new generator.
Smudger,
Yes, I'd much rather be useful for something else instead of a reckless railroader.
are you absolutely sure you want to do this?
I 100% mean it.
Very well then. If that's your desire, we shall grant it.
You did the right thing, Smudger.
Yep, by not being a wrench in our work on the railway.
That's what I meant, Falcon.
With that, the manager removed Smudger's pistons and chassis, and he is now a generator taking Baldwin's place. Now, speaking of Baldwin, things weren't looking too light at the mines, especially in December 1946, where Baldwin started to break down.
Luke and Nora, our pumping engine. The mines are flooding. Everyone, out now!
With no reasons left to keep the mines open, the entire Mid-Sodor Railway was officially closed on January 1947. Stuart and Falcon were sold to the aluminum company at Peel Godtrid. Other engines were purchased, but Duke was abandoned. And we know the rest of the story. Duke was left underground for 2 decades until 1970 he was discovered.
What about Baldwin and Smudger? Were they preserved even if they were rare type of engines?
I don't know about them, Bart. But the possibilities of them getting preserved and saved is highly unlikely. I'm sorry to say, but Duke was right. Poor Baldwin remained stationary until one day the flooded groundwaters under him had weakened to the surface that he was standing on. Eventually, the ground gave way, Baldwin fell into the groundwater and rusted away. And as for Smudger, he always remained where he was behind the Arlesdale sheds. Vegetation and shrubbery grew all around him. His metallic body rusted and oxidized. His face was consumed by fungi and decomposers. And overall, like the entire Mid-Sodor Railway, he was abandoned.